Deputy Donnelly.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Masling, I'd like to welcome you and your team here, and I'll pick up on the split mortgage. First of all, I want to recognise the 0% on the shelf. I think that's very welcome. I think it's a reasonable and welcome move from the bank, and we've seen it from the other banks except for Bank of Ireland, which is pretending that they have a split mortgage product and in fact charging the market rate on the full amount, which is an exercise in deep cynicism. I think what I'm hearing, Mr. Masling, and my own anecdotal evidence is that whilst the figures seem to be moving in the right direction, hopefully at the edges, hopefully what we're hearing are the 1% that are falling through the cracks. We don't know that. It might be the norm. And in that vein, I'd like you to read you out, I'll keep it anonymised, Chair, but a split mortgage offer that I received from a constituent of mine at 9 a.m. this morning, and I'd like to ask you whether you would stand over this. I'll be very brief. My wife and I are permanent TSB customers, currently experiencing difficulties, shortfall of 400, capital and interest. Permanent TSB has offered us a split mortgage, which would reduce our payments by 140, including a 5-year term extension. They have allowed us €10 per month for credit union and family loans. They want us to default in the credit union and prioritise the mortgage. I explained that the credit union was being used to pay my college fees, and if I default on that loan, I will be unable to continue my studies. Permanent TSB replied that the situation was serious and the mortgage must take priority over everything. Can I ask, I understand the difference between secure and non-secure credit, and that typically in banking, secure credit takes precedence. Would the bank stand over a case, though, whereby enforcing the primacy of the secure credit would result in one of your borrowers having to leave her degree?
Everything's done on a case-by-case basis. I think I'd have to say that I would stand with that letter, Deputy.
I think we don't force these decisions. I think the debt prioritisation topic is here and now. Okay, and I think we're very clear with our customers that they have a choice about the prioritisation of their debt.
I beg your pardon, I don't mean to cut across, just in the interest of time, I think Mr. Masling has answered the question. Mr. Masling, I have to say that that is deeply disappointing, because actually for me it gets to the heart of the problem with this entire approach, which is the banks are dealing with arrears. You're going to be penalised if you don't, so you are going to get those arrears targets down. But it is at the cost of the Irish citizens and the economic recovery of this country. Because if you are forcing people to leave university in order to pay a split mortgage, probably on money that they shouldn't have borrowed and permanent TSB shouldn't have lent them, that is bad for the country. By my calculations, 65 to 80% of the solutions being offered will actually increase the level of payments made over the lifetime of the debt from your borrowers to the bank. Again, Mr. Masling, you and I have talked about this before. The crisis is not an arrears crisis, it is a debt crisis. And unfortunately, what I'm hearing, and I believe the other members of the committee are hearing, that while you are very understandably meeting the targets, that the consequence of meeting those targets, at least in some cases as you are, is actually to the detriment of Irish citizens and the economic recovery of this country. Can I ask for your view on that, please, Mr. Masling?
I mean, you'd understand that I would fundamentally disagree with that perspective. I think every time what we try and do is within the boundaries that we can control, we try to do the right thing for customers. I think the last time I met, we had a...
You just said you try to do the right thing for the customer. Now, on the example you've just given me, do you think that is the right thing for the customer? Because it's an easy statement to make, but actually when it comes down to the detail, you're going to ask her to leave university.
Within what I can control, we make decisions. Last time I was here, we had a sort of macroeconomic debate around the banking system, and I think we agreed that that probably wasn't within my control, and that should the rules of the game change at a system level, then many of the discussions would move to a different place. I retain my answer from the first time I was here. I make decisions within that which I can control.
And indeed, in this case, the decision you're standing over is that one of your borrowers should leave university. And I don't think you or I would believe that that is in the best interest of the country if they are the kind of decisions you were willing to stand over. My final statement, if I might, Chair.
Thank you. I mean, I understand why you would keep sort of asking me to answer that question. I think what I have to say to you is I need to go back to the principles of the banking system that I have grown up in. And the banking system I've grown up in is, and I know you say you understand it, which I know you do, and I know you probably don't want me to reinforce it, but I think it's right that I do. There is a priority of payment that customers have to, a choice they have to make, and the secured payment, by definition, has to be that priority. I can't then make a judgment for what happens to the unsecured element. I mean, that's out of my control.
Thank you.
Deputy Matthews, I'll have to ask you to leave you once more. Please, Don.
Thank you, Chair. The final comment I'd leave you with then, Mr. Massing, I appreciate you've got a very difficult job, and we will keep you under pressure. The PCAR test made, we the Irish people, you spoke about what your customers and other customers would want. It's a final statement. We around the table.
No statements, question, move on.
It's a final statement, Chair.
No statement, I'm not taking statements, I'm taking questions.
But Chair, a question would take longer. It's just a final comment.
Well, you can make the statement when we're making this sum up. I'm moving on.
Okay, I'll ask it as a question.
Okay.
Fine, thank you. The PCAR test made up to €2.7 billion of public money available for residential mortgages, and indeed you have taken a provision, an accounting provision of 2.5 billion. So those figures tie.
You're eating members' times. Yeah, but you had time to ask the question.
Chair, I could have asked the question in less time than I'm talking to you.
You could have prioritised this at the start, because I'm setting the same discipline for you as I am for other members, okay? Either wrap up your question or I'm moving on. Please, get moving.
Thank you, Chair. Do you not think it would be a better thing for the economic recovery of the country to accept that more of that 2.5 billion which you have provided for and has been provided to you by the Irish people should be used for write-downs than the approximate 11 million that you have so far?
As I think I have answered 3 or 4 times, you can expect us, as we go through the stock of long-term arrears customers, at the end of a process, it is banking across the globe that bank CEOs write off debt. And I think I've said on the record, even last week at the results, we apply that banking model. And if at the end of the process it is right that we use some of that provisions to write off debt, then we will.
I have to move on because this meeting room does have to end at 12 o'clock.